Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Streamed live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis. I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation, and I'm joined this morning by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Hey, good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Tommy, man. How are you?
Yeah, man, this is good. I'm doing great. I am so blessed, Eric, to be in the company of you and our guest that we'll introduce in a moment here. I'm also very blessed in my family. My wife and my family and I, we experienced some blessings last evening, and the blessings came in the form of calmness and stillness.
Okay.
We enjoyed an evening just sitting out, not really talking to or with each other, just being in the presence of each other we were watching the storms roll in and the lightning show, the thunder show, and just really understanding God's blessing and revitalization of his earth. And so I sit in the blessings of that peace and that calm. And I wanted to give him praise this morning.
Okay, so you were watching a movie thrown by God Almighty himself.
Yes, indeed. Woo. Live in action. And it was a movie, right? I mean, where the lightning will begin at one side of the sky and it would end at the other side. Right. It would just continue off till you couldn't see it anymore. And then maybe a whole minute later, the thunder would come. Right. So that's how big the lightning strikes were that were not always coming down to earth. They were across the sky. But it was phenomenal. Right. The breeze was there. We were being careful, obviously. Right. But that was a great ending to my week, Eric, where there were constant storms, a lot of highlights and victories. But I concluded the week and going into the weekend with the knowledge that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. Man, I love that perspective. I tell you, because I feel the same way about tornadoes and storms. I don't fear those as much, Tommy. I just don't. I think because we came through so many of the tornadoes. Terry, you remember the 70s, 75, those tornadoes in this area that ran through Dayton and Hamilton and Xenia. That was right around y'all. But I see people going through tsunamis, and I kind of fear those because we didn't grow up with those. But I'm almost the same way, man. I'm hearing all the alarms go off, and they're saying, run for the basement. Yeah. I'm looking out the windows, doing all kind of stuff like that. So, but that's a great perspective. Terry, good morning, man. This is my good friend, Terry Cooley, my college roommate. One of my best friends on planet Earth. How are you, my friend?
Man, I'm so glad. I'm good. I'm feeling great. And first, I want to say that it's a great honor to be among two kings here. Wow. I never thought that this day would come, but look here. I'm looking at the picture now, and I say, now people should get a screenshot of this and keep it.
That's what I'm about to do. Hold up. That's what I'm about to do myself if I don't mess up the whole show. Everybody smile. I got it. It's a good idea, Terry.
I'm happy to be here, and hopefully what we say and what we talk about can be a benefit to whoever is listening to us.
Man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. And we've got some people in our community already. Lee Wong, who was one of our guests a number of times ago, now is part of the community on a regular basis. And Chanel de Guzman is a new friend. Thank you for joining us today. I look forward to us being able to connect. You'll also at some point connect with my friend here, Tommy Lewis, because we both are in the DEI space, in that space that she's working in. My cousin is joining us. Well, we've got people that are up this morning, and we've got a great show today. We're going to talk about Father's Day. Certainly happy Juneteenth celebration, the first official Juneteenth celebration in this nation's history. And so we are so pleased that our president signed that as a federal holiday, for those of you that may not have known that. And so why don't we start by just kind of talk about how our week was. I don't know, Tom, if there's anything else you want to add in terms of how your week went from a business standpoint, anything else. And Terry, if you want to talk about your week, just the kinds of things that happen for those of you that are joining us for the first time. We start by just sort of checking in with each other and saying, hey, how was the week? And just taking inventory on the great things that happen, some of the challenging things sometimes that happen, and things that happen with our family. Tom, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'll just add this little piece that this week was a great week with Make It Plain. We have a new intern. He goes by the name of Sal, but I actually like his full name. His full name is Salvatore Giolando. Right?
Okay.
And so Sal he has a deep baritone voice. He has a full face of hair, flowing locks, right? And when you speak to him, at least on the telephone, he may come off to be a strong 60 years old. This brother is 18 years old. He's a rising sophomore at The Ohio State University, and he has been a tremendous asset to our company. So I wanted to give Sal a recognition live on the show. And then lastly, Eric, we're working with a client within the city of Cincinnati, a municipality. And this week, as well as other weeks, every Thursday and Friday, we come together from 7:30 a.m. to about 10:30 a.m. And we work through some learning. We work through self-awareness, unconscious bias or implicit bias, cultural competence. And this past week, we shared an awful lot of laughs. An awful lot of laughs. And I don't experience that many laughs during training. We do get some laughs, but not when everybody's laughing and joke after joke and really joking through some of our pain.
Yes, absolutely.
And then allowing people to open up to say, I know that was a joke, but what's really happening, man? Right. This week was an epiphany of how I would say a good environment, either a good environment at home, a good environment at work, a good environment in our neighborhoods will create community, right? And we all have those challenges. This week showed a community of people from different backgrounds, different experiences, who could pause and just sit back and laugh. So that's how my week has been.
Good. Excellent. I want to say this about Terry before, Terry, you talk about our week. Terry and I have been best friends since we were before college, because we grew up as kids together. Our mothers preached together. I used to go to his church in Hamilton, Ohio. Terry's comes from, is it 22 siblings, Terry?
21
siblings, all from the same mother.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Terry is one of the people in the world. If you have your last, back in the day, your last quarter, your last dime, you'd call Terry. If anything were ever to happen, when my kids have gone out to California and found themselves in difficult place, sometimes not even with the roof over their head, Terry was the brother that reached out and opened up his door. The other thing, he's the funniest guy that I know on planet Earth, Tommy. This right here, this is the funniest guy in the world. He just his mind is a comedic mind.
Yeah.
So I never forget, man. I just never forget this. Terry was my roommate in college, and he'd tell me stuff like this. We'd be going to the room. He said, hold up, Eric, you wait around the corner. And then when I tell you, come around the corner. So I wait around the corner. And then he'd go down there to the room, and he'd act like he was like breaking in. He said, what would you do if this was the case? And I came around the corner. Then he came running at me. He said, what would you do? He come running at me like a football sprint, man. Talking about how is your mind like that, you know? And he would just, man. And a lot of people look at him because of his size, and they feel like his whole game is an intimidation game. But they don't know anything about the brilliance of Terry Cooley, the mind of Terry Cooley, because you can't be funny unless you're brilliant.
Yeah.
And the love of Terry Cooley. He's a guy that in California has brought together the Crips and the Bloods for an annual sort of cookout. And they've come together on his property, on the big man's property. And the other thing that he does for us is he gives me sort of a post diversity conversations analysis.
Yes, sir.
He give me the analysis. He told me last week, he said, I thought, Eric, when I saw the brother on there from FedEx, I thought maybe you and Tommy had run out of material or something. But then he pivoted. He said, but what I said, and he just tells me what he's thinking in his mind. He said, that's the thought I had. He said, but I said, hold up, let me just wait here and see how this gonna go. He said, and every time you and Tommy will turn things towards the public and help to make it relevant, something that looks like it may not be on the surface. If you just stay there for a minute, you'll hear something. And so I'm so grateful. I know that CNN has got their post analysis people. ABC's got them. And diversity conversation and Tommy Lewis, we got Terry Cooley, who can give us a brilliant analysis. And sometimes he's like your grandmother. If it didn't go well, he don't even announce it. That was
with
nice.
love. It's all with love. It's all with love.
That was nice, fellas. But he always tells me you guys are worldwide. And I want to take all that time because this is a man. Well, look here. Look at my dad. Two brothers that I love. LOVE. I love you guys, man. Terry, so glad to have you, man. How was your week?
Love you too.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? My week was pretty interesting, Eric. This job that I have here, working with these kids, always throw me a new challenge.
Right.
There's nothing going to be the same.
Right.
There's always something. It's gonna be a lot of things repeated, but then there's always going to be other new things added in. When you're dealing on the level that I'm dealing on, you got to be set for something new at all time, you know. But I'm set and ready to go.
I love
to deal with it, but I've been dealing with that all week. So I've been having a pretty interesting week, and then also dealing with the heat too. It's been hot. It's been hot.
Right.
But I learned that when the weather is hot, cold, everybody gonna say something about it.
Right.
Just gotta love it. You just gotta love the way it is.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to us sort of talking about one of the things that we like to do is sort of walk down people's lives. So, you know, people can give, the audience a sense of who they are. And I want people to know who you are. And then because our theme today is Father's Day, each of us is going to have time to talk about, the power of the love of a father. And so I'll talk about my week and then we'll come back, Terry, and we'll ask you sort of to introduce yourself, talk about your mother and your father, but the impact that your father had on your life positively and challenging, because those are the things that we want to focus on. A lot of times people don't get a chance to see, on television enough or in the media enough, Black men that are loving fathers. And if I start talking about my kids too long, it's tears because I wanted children when I was a child. And I'm so glad. And they've not disappointed me. They're all in their 20s right now. They haven't disappointed me. This week was a great week for us at Integrity Again. I love what I do. I'm so grateful that every morning I get up, I'm excited about the fact that in many ways we get to put on that cape to try to make change in the world. And I feel like I was born to do the work that I'm doing. You know, a lot of people don't really know what their purpose is in life. And I tell my kids all the time that, be careful to look towards materialism and money and things like that, because in many ways, those things are fool's gold. They promise greater than they can deliver. But when you find your purpose, because see, I don't care how many houses you can buy, how many cars you can buy. At the end of the day, wherever you go in the world, if you don't like who you are, money's not going to make that any better. And so, but when you find your purpose in life, then there's something that you can be excited about, because in many ways, our brain is looking for dopamine. That's what people don't understand. Our brain is looking for dopamine. You can get that from drugs, alcohol, sex, food, or you could get that from your purpose. So, Tommy, when we find ourselves getting up every day with the opportunity, and Terry, to change the world in what we do professionally, that's a powerful thing. I had been invited to go to a school, Princeton Middle School, and speak to 2 classes of students. Excuse me. Now, Tommy, Terry, you all know this. When we find ourselves very, very busy, a lot of times there's a weakest link or something that you look at and say, man, if I could just take this off my plate. Yep. So I was conniving about how I could get out of this. I wasn't speaking to any CEOs of big companies. I wasn't doing a big, sales presentation to a company over in Australia. I was going to be talking to some students. Can I get this off my plate? And I tell you, man, those are the dumbest thoughts that ever crossed my mind. Is to think that it will be to my advantage to take young people off my plate. And so I was grateful that I did not. The first class I had was a class of 6th graders. And both of you all are very familiar with Princeton School District. Yeah. All the students that shuttled into the auditorium, it looked like it was all young people from India, or Asian Americans as well. I saw very few Black. I was like, whoa, where am I? So that was the first thing. I was like, where am I? I didn't realize that Princeton remains so diverse. And so that was interesting. And then the 7th and 8th graders came in and they were loud and ruckus, And, so one of the things I do is I play a lot of music during my presentations with young people, since we do a lot of music. So I threw up a music video, the only music video that I have of myself, I threw it up and then I start singing along because I don't really care. I'm going to be entertained. And I saw young people, the 8th graders, like, look at him. I mean, they was pointing stuff like, man, what is he doing? That's like you old when they just start laughing at you. And I'm just looking right at them like, yeah, I'm looking at you too, and just having a ball with them. And then I played for them the tribute video that I put together for my brother, Black Lives Matter. And you could hear a pin dropping in. And then I began to speak to them about their life and their choices. And the fact that we need them, Tommy and Terry, we need them on our team to try to work to make the world a better place. And they got that. And many of them start dropping tears, man. They came up to me afterwards, man. And even with this COVID-19 environment, they still just wanted to touch me. And I'll tell you, sometimes we think that as we get older, that sometimes young people don't want to have anything to do with you. But I think that they are desperately longing for a relationship with us. And I remember when I was in their seats laughing at the speaker when it came, and so I was having so much fun with that. But I'll tell you, I was grateful that I had the honor. Deron Hunter, who went to, and you're going to be speaking to him too, right, Tommy?
I am next week.
You the closer. Yeah, you'll be speaking to them again in a couple of weeks. And I'll tell you, you got 2 beautiful groups of students. And Deron Hunter is a guy that since I've known him, he was a phenomenal athlete in high school and in college. But every job he's ever worked in, oftentimes he'd be telling me something like, the boss is all over the place, crazy, But he told me, he said, Eric, this principal loves these children. And I saw the relationship that he had with the principal. And I've known all of his life that the reason why he had conflict with adults and supervisors is because they didn't care deeply enough about the young people. And so when you don't care about young people, then he's in conflict with you. That's how Deron is all the time. And so when he's having a great relationship and says he loves somebody, it's because he's watched the way that principal loves the young people. I was talking to the principal and he said, Eric, I'm sorry, I'm a little underdressed here. I said, no, man. and he was talking to me, and he heard a teacher in the hallway yelling at a kid. Everything changed in his countenance. You know, some people they run out there and they're trying to wrestle the kid down. No, he ran out there to see what the teacher was yelling at. Who are you yelling at? And I love that, man. When I saw that in him, we were talking and his mind left me.
Yep.
Because it went toward, hold on. And he said, hold on. I love that, man. So as many, bad examples that we have of leaders that don't seem like they care deeply enough about these children. Certainly Duran and the principal of Princeton Middle School, wonderful man, both care deeply. So that I would announce that as the highlight of my week. The other thing I did was my youngest son, all my kids do music. So I'm trying to find the magic formula, to get my kids to, mix and master some of my music. So I felt like I figured it out this week. Then I didn't. But I recorded a lot of my stuff, and then I sent sort of the raw tracks to my youngest son, Ethan Ellis. Man, he did a phenomenal job with that. So still loving doing music. So that's kind of how my week went. Terry, why don't we start talking about just your childhood growing up in Hamilton, Ohio, and talk to me about what you were thinking about when we were both there. Was it Owen and Lane, right? Ain't that church?
Owen and Lane Street. Owen and Lane Street Church
How
of God.
often was y'all in church, Terry?
Every Sunday, every Wednesday, and 2 times on Sunday.
Yeah, it felt like it was revivals all the time, wasn't it?
Man, all the time. Even you get it at church at home too.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right. My mother was the same way. My mother used to do Bible study in the summer, and she'd do it out back. We lived in Skyline Acres, and she would put out punch and cookies to try to trick my friends to come over to the yard. I was like, don't come, y'all. She's tricking y'all. She's tricking y'all. And they would come, man. They was just so excited about that. And I was like, this is the craziest thing. Don't they know she's going to do a Bible study?
Right.
And they even enjoyed that, man. But I remember running in that field next to Owen and Lane, on revivals and all day stuff when it was district and things like that.
Oh, yeah. I miss those days. They were great. But it was much needed, because look at the world today. If we never were with that solid foundation, man, where would we be, man?
Right.
Where would we be?
Right.
I'm so grateful for a good, solid upbringing in the church.
Right. Now, I know you loved your mother to death as well, but today is Father's Day. So
Yes,
I'd like you to just describe who your father was in your family.
When I thought about that today, being that it is Father's Day, I said, man, now I lost my dad back in 1979.
Okay.
But to think, who is Thomas Quincy Cooley? Man, we don't have enough time to explain that. But I could just give you a cliff note of it.
Yeah.
My dad, I never, ever, ever heard my dad say, son, I love you. But I felt the power of his love is so great. Feeling it is so much louder than hearing it, because living it is much better than he was the show me type of person.
Okay.
Now, his love sometimes came in forms of a whipping, and it came in forms of let me give you an overabundant amount of food, and don't even think about not eating the food because you get that whooping thing. Because but dad was I thought he was a giant, which he was, but he was only like 5'7", 5'8".
Wow.
But he was a giant.
Right.
He was a giant. And I never saw nobody so bold. And so I tell you, we were having a concert at the church.
Right.
And my dad do you remember those recorders where it's like a rectangular box, you just push one of the little buttons there and the thing flip up, you put a tape in.
Right.
Okay. My dad was trying to get his right with the soloist sang a beautiful song. And my dad thought he was recording and realized he wasn't. And lady already thanked the people for having me here. Thank you. And all this. And my dad said, wait a minute. He said, wait a minute. I'm so sorry. Listen, I thought I had the recorder. I didn't get a chance to record you. Is there any way you can start this from the top and sing this all over again?
He gonna get it right.
Yeah, I never seen anybody stand up at a concert and do that. But he did it.
Right.
But he also loved a lot of people too. I tell you one more thing, Eric and Tommy. I tell you something. My dad, he loved a lot of people. He was a very giving person. Now, at this place called Smorgasbord was next to Smorgasbord.
Yeah, I went there all the time.
Okay, it's next to a store out there where we were living, next to Kroger's. Now Kroger's throw a lot of food out back behind that Smorgasbord into this big dumpster. Now my dad said this food is not bad. Let's get a lot of this food. And I said, well, Dad, wait a minute. Is there any way we can wait till, because I happen to see some of my friends from school.
Right.
Is there any way we can wait till after these kids right here pass on by? And then I'll be more than happy to jump over in that dumpster and get and help you take these and distribute it out to different people. So he gave me the ultimate ultimatum. He said either those kids could see you get a whipping, or those kids could see you get over in that dumpster and hand them bags out to me like I asked you to do. It didn't take me long to figure that out. I didn't have to sit there and say weigh out the different. I didn't have to weigh out options. I just said, well, let me get my foot up over the side of this dumpster.
Hey Terry, you said that dumpster. Okay, I thought you were talking about another dumpster. You said that dumpster. I'm in there, Pops. I'm in there. Right?
I quick, fast, in a hurry, and waved at my friends as they passed by.
That's what I'm talking about. You said there'd be less crime in the hood, and Pops Cooley was there.
Yeah, and he took that stuff and he gave it out to people less fortunate than us. We went down to the projects, and he handed a lot of the bread. There was a lot of bread and stuff. He handed a lot of that to those people less fortunate than us. And when we did not have it like that. We didn't have it. We didn't have a lot of money and all that kind of stuff. But I tell you one thing, my dad told me that would never be a day where my kids will go hungry. Never. But that's my dad. But I miss him, man. I surely miss him. I do.
Yeah, Sari. So as I'm listening and laughing and learning, and you're talking about your father, and whom I didn't know, but I would imagine in knowing you, your father is coming through you, and in the spirit of your father and the deeds of your father are being, still being shown by your deeds. What value can you place on the learnings from your father, the learnings as a father? In other words, some folks want to put a monetary value, right? That's about $1 million worth of whatever. Mm-hmm. What value? What's the true value that your father had instilled in you and that you continue to instill in your children and other parents' children?
My dad, I always tried to figure out what it meant when my dad told me. He always said to me, with all your gettings, you get an understanding.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought about that. And I said, wow, Dad, how do I make that apply to everything I do? How can I put all my get an understanding and leave no conversation with a question mark? He said, don't leave it like that. He said, get through, work it out. And not only that, he was thorough. He was thorough, very thorough. He wants you to learn something and learn it well. I wrestled in high school, and my dad told me that I want you to. I got to a point where I felt like it was too much. So I said, Dad, I'm gonna quit. He said, not, I was just thinking, son, not only are you not gonna quit, but I need you to get a job to start helping out around here while you go to wrestling. You go to wrestling. After that, you come get you a little after school job, and then you're gonna start helping out. 10% of your check go to the house. I start thinking, wait a minute, man. Hold on for a second. I said, I was just here talking about me quitting. No, you added more things to the plate.
You added more on the plate.
Yeah. But he wanted you, don't ever quit nothing, but think of always more and more. Go to the top. Get it. Get it. Because we want you to have it. Get it. This life is tough. But he always wants us to be prepared. And he took each and every one of us and said, this is what you will need in your life. This is what you will need. And he would address that the way he think you're going to be heading in your life. And he will focus on that He didn't deal with you all the same on some levels. I mean, on some areas in life, but he knew just which direction you will go in. And he would focus on that. He's a genius. And I don't even think he even went past the 6th grade, to tell the truth.
Wow. Well, I'm going to come around because we're going to come back around and ask you this question that Judy is posing. Tom, I'm going to ask you to weigh in on that about your father as well. We might as well talk about it. I remember, the first job beyond mowing grass that I had. My father took me up to this restaurant in Forest Park called Scoreboard Restaurant. I never forget that. And he told me, he said, now, son, I think you're going to get this job because I know the owner. I don't want you to embarrass the family now. Don't you go up there and just be talking every day. He said, I want you to make sure you working. And I remember I said, yes, sir. And that's what I was aiming to do. But when the manager would leave, all the other employees would say, we making triple deckers and we having people look out for the manager. So I started doing that because I was influenced by my peers. So we making triple deckers and quadruple deckers. And then we looking out the window and then looking at the clock. Do y'all know how slow that clock is when you look at it? Yeah. I would look at the clock and it'd be 9, then it'd be 9:01. I mean, it just took forever. So I said, no, that is not going to work for me. So I had to go back to what my father said and work. And I like to talk, but I was cleaning up and talking and working, and that day would fly by. But the thing that I remember, Terry, is that my father was having a difficult time as a business owner at that time. Mm-hmm. And so he would ask me for my check every week, $68, $48. And my mother was embarrassed by that. She was like, Ellis, you got to stop asking that boyfriend. Leave his check alone. And you know what? My father said, no, Eric, put the amount, keep it on the refrigerator, just a savings account. And then I'm gonna get all that back to you. And she doesn't know how proud it made me, Terry.
Yeah.
I feel as though I was helping the family out.
Yeah.
I'm also honored to get him my check. Man, I'm like, ooh, I'm helping out my daddy, and I give him that check. And I'll tell you, at the end, when I was 18 years old, he gave me back my money, and I went and bought my first car off the side of the road with that money that I had been given to him over years. And so I found that to be a grateful experience and one that I can harken back on even now. If I can help my family as a kid, then I certainly can make sure that my family today makes it. Tommy, what about your father? And then we're going to come back and we're going to pose the question that Judy's posed.
So I'll share in the same vein. My first job, 14 years old, I was a caddy. I was a caddy at a private country club called Clover Nook Country Club.
I was too, Tommy.
Yeah, in Cincinnati. It's in College Hill, Cincinnati.
Wow.
And so, and in fact, I was a caddy, and a few of my buddies were caddies as well.
Right.
And at Clover Nook, to be a caddy, you had to get there early, 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's right. Ride
so
your
that
bike.
The golfers could select you. So me and my guys would ride our bicycles at 5:15 in the morning, travel up to Clover Nook, wait on the caddy stand for these golfers to pick a caddy.
Right.
I'm going to repeat that. We had to sit on this wall,
right,
and wait patiently for another man to pick us.
Right.
Then we would, get picked, and these golfers would select a caddy and also get a golf cart. So those who are familiar with golfing, if you have a caddy, the caddy carries the bags. So you don't need to have a golf cart. But these guys get a caddy, get a golf cart. So a round of golf, 18 holes, would be about 5.5, almost 6 hours with these older men who are just having a conversation on a weekend. At the end of the round, our rate was about $4, and then we would get a tip.
Right.
Sometimes we would get a large tip. It would be $1. And then sometimes we'll get the typical tip, which was $0.25. And the golfer would press the quarter into the palm of our hand to make sure that we folded our fingers over that little quarter.
Right.
And so to make any good money, you had to do about 2 rounds.
Right.
That's 12 hours of golf.
Or carry 2 bags, do a double up sometimes.
To do a double up. And so I would do a double up, or 2 hours, 2 rounds of golf, and tiredly ride my bicycle back home. My father would be sitting down on the couch because he worked Monday through Friday. Right. His weekend was rest weekend. How was golfing, son? It was hot, middle of July, right? I'm 18 shades darker.
Right.
I'm exhausted. I still have baseball I have to prepare for. Says, did you get paid? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I made $8. My father would say, $8? How many hours did you work? Said 12 hours. And my father looked at me and allowed me to make a decision after he shared some wisdom. His wisdom was, are you worth $12 or $8 or $4? I said, no, that's what they pay me. He said, that's not what I asked you. He was asking me, what is my worth, my value? And so I made a decision about 2 weeks later, because I needed to increase my bank account by additional $4, right? So I needed to go back and continue this job. And I had already made up in my mind that I'm worth more than what I'm receiving. The caddy master was the athletics director and the head basketball coach of St. Xavier High School in Cincinnati. I didn't know this at the time. Right. Everybody else did. And so what I realized then was that the golfers knew the caddy master. He was a member of the club. They had conversations all the time about anything, not the caddies, because the caddies didn't have any value. Right. But Tommy Lewis Jr. had made a decision after one of the rounds of golf. Listen, this is my last round. And the guy came over to give me his $25 tip. And I had the audacity, because I'm my father's son, to say, no, I think what I did today is worth more than 25 cents. And the golfer said, well, you're not going to get anything. I said, I don't take anything then. It was a gift. I was giving my service, right? So in some instances, even today, I absolutely know my worth and value. Wow. I know my family's worth and value. And I choose to give my value and my service to people I love, like a Terry Cooley, like a Eric Ellis, like some young 7th graders, 8th graders, 12th graders, maybe even some adult graders, right? Because there's some adults that need the service. And so I give great praise to my father, who I lost in 2006, who I still keep his namesake. I'm very proud to be Tommy Lewis Junior.
Right.
Junior. So that's my story. Big ups to Pops, who's looking down in heaven, and all of our fathers who are now looking down at us, that we're still fighting the good fight, T. Still
That's
fighting
right.
the good fight.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
That's
Yes,
right.
That's
sir.
right.
Well, Terry, let me come back to you. Thank you, Tommy. That was beautiful, man. And you brought back memories. I remember riding my bike to Clover Nut from Skyline.
Yeah.
And sometimes little guy trying to carry these big men. I'm wondering, why am I carrying their bags? I mean, they're huge. I'm tiny, but I'm taking that little money. But Terry, I want you to talk about, sort of being a foster parent, because you are, you're a foster dad. You've got a number of people that depend on you. What made you decide that you wanted to go into working as a foster dad? And Judy asked the question, how has your father influenced your parenting style with your children?
What I want to do is this right here. Hop straight to Judy's question.
Okay.
Because I know I did go through the training to do foster care, but I already took a course through by way of my dad.
Right.
So therefore, what I used was his method. I did mix in some of what the foster system taught me as well.
Right.
But for the most part, a lot of things that my dad showed me, and I do that now with the kids I have now. But then I take my version, my dad's version, and I take the foster system version, and I mix it all together like a big bowl of gumbo.
Yes, sir.
And then I lay it on the kids. and a lot of things you have to learn and do, you have to learn it by way of each and every day you walk with these kids every day. You're learning every day new stuff.
Right.
And so this is how I do it. This is how I figure it all out. Now, I actually raised kids before I got into this foster care.
Okay.
And I always wanted to find out just exactly what do I need to do in life? What do God have planned for me?
Right.
So I thought, well, this seemed to be what I think is what God led me to do, to take care of kids.
Right.
I don't have any biological kids of my own. I don't have any kids. So therefore, I decided this is what I think I need to do. And I think I told you this before, Eric. I was sharing with you about, I said, well, God, okay, you did say that my craft and my talent will bring me before great men. And it'll make a way for me. I remember I told you.
Yeah,
I said it will make a way for me. But when would it bring me? I'm 59, getting ready to be 60. When is it going to bring me before great men?
Oh.
And then I wrestled with that thought over and over and over again. But then I read in the Bible that for as much as you've done to the least of them, you've done to me. So if God is putting them on that level as much as you've done to the least you do to me, that's to them, equal to him. I said, if he's putting it that way, that means I am before great men already.
Wow.
So I must be good at my craft because I'm already before great men. I must let these kids know. I told these kids the same story. From that point on, I told them all, you are great. All of you are great.
I love that. I love it.
All of you.
Right, Terry, let me ask you this. I want people to understand the kind of young people that you are gifted to work with, because you're not just the regular, ordinary foster dad that you just sort of get in line and you get, these nice kids that are just, desperate for a home. What is the distinction of the kind of young people that you are for your specialization?
Hold on one second, Mary. Oh my goodness, my sister just came out here getting ready to.
Oh, that's fine.
Everything's just starting out here.
Right.
Y'all get. I'm Mary. I'm on the show. Ricky, Can you explain something? Okay, thank you.
No, you can talk. That's fine, man.
Yeah, you talk to him. Yeah.
We'll actually talk if you need to go take care of something. You know,
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Mary, give me one second. Mary, I'm on a show right now. I'm on a show, so I need quiet. Right. I need to take care of this. I don't want Eric to get over here and choke nobody out and me running the show. Okay. I'm telling my sister I don't want you to choke her out for running my show here. You know.
Oh man, you about to make us go viral.
Mary.
Yeah.
Hold on for a second. Let me do this thing right here.
Right.
You're moving the chairs, interrupting the show here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do a show real quick. Can you not move the chair, please?
Yeah. That's okay. None of that throws us, man. We don't get
okay.
Yeah. If you got to walk away, Tommy and I have been talking together for years.
Yeah.
So we'll continue the conversation until you come back. So if you need to handle your business.
Just okay. All right. Tell me your question again.
Okay. We were looking at just some people might say that the young people that you're working with are some of the most difficult, or children that come from challenging situations where they were hard to place. Is that correct?
That is correct. But that was my main target. That was my target. I originally wanted to start out with younger kids, but then I thought about, what about these older kids who is falling between the cracks? Who is it that gonna bring them up? Because when they age out the system, if they're not equipped with these skills, then I'm adding to the statistics which says out of 100% of people in prison, 80% of those out of that 100 are foster kids. But if I really care much about what I'm talking about, I want to put a dent in this broken system. I want to target those that are about to age out and make sure they're equipped with these skills that will help them get through this thing called life. It's only 4 letters, but it's so giant and so many twists and turns to life that you cannot have a textbook that teach you how to deal with it, because going to get the book can be a major catastrophe, you know?
Right.
I want to equip these kids with this stuff.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah. So Terry, and please pardon my ignorance here. So there are young people who have gone through the foster care system or the process. Some of them have aged out, and whatever the case may be. So there are young people who are in need, and then great parents, in your case, great father like yourself, who wants to care for these young people. So without going into a lot of the detail, how do you connect between the young person of need and you, right? What is that process?
Okay. Each person that comes here, Tommy, they come with a story. They come with a history of trauma. They come with so many different things they've gone through. Okay, that's the story. But I like to take another page and let's write our own page. Let me find out where this kid is. Let me go down and find where this child is in life. And then once I go down and find where they are, let me walk with them. And let me show you, I'm here with you. You being led by a king, very powerful man who will love to take and walk with you and show you the ropes. But make no mistake about it, there's nothing on my forehead that says soft.
Yeah,
yes. I didn't see that either. I didn't see soft.
I didn't see that either.
No. But no, we got to let them know,
right,
that I'm here walking with you, but I'm not afraid of you. I'm very kind, very generous, and I want to work with you. But if it don't work out here, let me get you to another place where it can work for you. But my main focus is not to worry about where you came from. I sympathize where you came from. But how about if we can rewrite our own page and make a nice little book page to put in this book called Life, and how I could show you how you can come from where you've been and then start making big strides to where you need to go, because that's my main focus. Because if I don't get it to that point, I'm failing as a leader.
Right. Terry, many of them have been in homes where they've sometimes even intimidated the people, and some of them have even bragged about that. What is it about you that allows you to love them past that? I'll say one other thing, and then I'll ask you to react. I remember hearing Dr. James Dobson say that young people need discipline in order to feel safe. And I believe you can relate to that giving young people the discipline and to be in a house where they know they're not in charge. What is the value of that?
It's all under the umbrella of leadership.
Okay.
It's all under that umbrella of leadership. You need structure. You definitely need some structure. And at the same time, it's not boot camp. Right. I'm not here to yell at them, get over here, sit down. No. Yeah. I ain't here for that. They got to have fun too. They got to have love too. You got to give them love too. You got to be well-rounded. You got to come at them well-rounded. Not only that, the thing is, you have to understand a lot of their anger isn't directed to you. You just happen to be in the pathway and happen to be the recipient of a lot of stuff coming that they were wanting to send to someone else, but it happened to come to you. Now that's inevitable, but now how you choose to deal with it is optional. So I choose to understand, okay, this kid, I know this kid ain't angry at me, but let me teach this kid the right way. I tell little brother, look, it don't mean nothing that we can yell back and forth at each other. We have not accomplished nothing.
Right.
It don't mean nothing like that, but it will accomplish, we accomplish a lot when we put our heads together and we see how we can get through this thing, and then we make better stride. You came one way through the door, but I guarantee you when you leave years down the road or whenever you leave, you're going to leave out 100% better than when you came. That's my focus.
And Terry, you come from a large family.
Yes, right? I did.
21 strong, basically a couple of football teams, right?
Yes,
right.
Two opposing sides. Two opposing sides.
Both sides, right? Both sides. You all are out there competing in the name of love, but you got to eat. You got the pecking order. How has your upbringing within your nuclear family contributed to working with and parenting your kids? If you have 4 in the house, maybe 4 in another one with your sister's child, how has your direct experience with a large family dynamic impacted the way that you parent a group of 4 or 5 or 6 children?
Well, I watched how my dad did his thing, Tommy. I watched how he handled dealing with all the kids that he dealt with. And I don't know what book he must have read, because I know for myself, I created a lot of drama. I mean, a lot of mess back when I was growing up, so I don't know. But my dad, he did his thing, man. And I took a lot of his methods. And I said this, it worked for him. It worked for him. And I used to call Eric many times. I tell him, a social worker came over to try to tell me this, to try to tell me that. When they questioned me. I don't know how you do. Now, where did you see that in the rule book? Where what method is that you're doing, Mr. Cooley? While the other social workers or the other people who are above the people who question me, giving me a plaque saying, well done. Yeah. Well done. I just got a pen. Maybe about 3 or 4 days ago. Thank you for your services here. Well done. But now I got the people underneath the people who are telling me well done. Now, just exactly what make you think that way you're doing is this. Yeah. I say, well, look, just watch me. Join in and watch me.
Right.
Watch me do it.
Right. And Terry, I'm not certainly you don't divulge anything negative about the kids at all. You are so kind and so loving and so respectful for them towards them. And I love that. But you do have some young people that have been difficult to place, right? That have been in
Yeah.
multiple houses.
Yeah.
You know,
I have one boy who has been in 27 homes.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Right.
27.
Right.
But he's a very good kid. All the kids I have here, they come here and they be their best. They be their best. And that's good. And sure, it gets rocky when you first get here.
Right. Right.
You know, even getting on a boat, it's going to be moving till you find that balance. Till you find that balance. And once you find that balance, you can ride with it. You can even ride up a storm and you're still going to ride with it.
Right.
If you found that balance, you know, and you make it work for you.
Terry, which is more difficult, being a father to those kids or dealing with some of the administrative people in the middle? Which is most difficult?
The administrative people.
Yeah, absolutely.
The administrative people. So what I do now, I'm gonna tell you, I have meeting after meeting dealing with these people. I have so many different meetings when you deal with foster kids. What I learned to do now is let them speak their piece.
Right.
And what I say now, and then what I say with, okay, well, thank you for coming. And I'll see you next time. That's my conversation with them.
Right.
I don't have to explain anymore. I said, who's going to explain as you watch that child change? You watch the child change. It's going to explain for itself. I don't have to explain nothing. You watch that child come around.
I would say also, Terry, that my own sister, Anita Lewis, who's joining us today as well. She works in the business. She works for an organization called NECO, and she's been in the space for a number of years. On the administrative side, you know, kind of the accounting and finance side, to making sure everything is taken care of. But I will tell you that with her, as well as the owner of this particular organization, that the spirit of service is so deep in them.
That's excellent, Tommy. Great point.
That it allows them, as an administrator or whatever the case may be, to really understand, even before sympathy or empathy, understand the parent, understand the child. And so it's not as much at all as a transaction, right? How did you do that, Terry? And I'm taking a note to make sure that you're in compliance, right? That's not the case here. You're dealing with folks, with Anita, and then obviously with you, that you're saying, what's the end game, right? What's in the best interest of this young person?
That's right.
And as we're on this boat that gets rocky and then it's calm, and then it's rocky and then it's calm, and then there's a hole in the boat, and you have to make a decision to plug the boat, right? Or get on another boat. Let's all get on another boat so that not one person perishes. That's what you do, Terry. That's what my sister Anita does. That's what a number of folks do. And I wish that there were more people listening to this conversation who work in administration. And that's strictly transactional. It's strictly policy coordinates. We know there's risks, right, that we have to take, but we're dealing with human beings.
Exactly.
We're dealing with human beings. So I want to again say thank you to you, Terry, and to my own sister, Anita, for the work and the spirit that you are and that you do.
You know what make it work, Tommy, is this one thing here. First of all, I can't lose focus. My objective is, and my goal is I have to stay focused on that child.
Yeah.
This is a business about making the kid better. I'm not here to compete with the social workers or the uppers. I'm not here to compete with them. My thing is to make a difference in a child's life. I never lost focus. Not to mention one more thing. I know the rules and regulations. So you got to stay in the rim of what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
Once you step out, now they want to make an example of you and punish you. But when you dealing inside the rim and you shining brighter than all the stars there, then they want to understand. They don't understand why you do what you do or how you get it done. Now you must be outside that rim. Now we're going to send people around to find out. I have people show up here 12 midnight, knock on the door.
Oh, wow.
Want to catch me doing wrong. They want to catch me slipping.
Oh, wow.
I tell them, come on in, have a seat. What can I do for you? Let me get you a cup of coffee.
Yes, sir.
And what do you want to talk about?
Right.
And not only that, call before you come next time.
Yes, sir.
And let me know. Let me know.
Not on your forehead,
you interrupted my beauty sleep.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, let me throw this in here, Terry, because I've shared this story before. I want to recant it so that the audience will understand who you are to me and my children. So when my son was at Miami University here at 19 years old, he had the bright idea that he was going to take a break from school and go to LA to become famous in music. My wife said, I need you to stop him, honey. I said, baby, I can't stop him. He's 19. So I told him, I said, well, son, you're going to have to figure out how to get out there on your own. So we cobbled together his little money, and he got him enough money together to get a train ticket to LA. So it took him 4 days to get out to LA. It took him 1 day to become homeless. And it took him a couple of hours to almost get mugged out there.
Yeah.
He had tried to find him a little spot out the newspaper, you know, just Craigslist. He trying to get a place off of Craigslist. And so he had called up and these guys was coming out there. He had enough sense to tell the guys that was trying to rent him a place, meet me over there, and then he over here hiding.
Yeah.
They come into the neighborhood and they said, they called him up. They said, where you at? He said, where y'all? He said, is that y'all in that old white Jeep? They said, yeah, where you at? And he jetted because he had this sense that they was going, try to do him.
You're in Jackie.
I called you. I called Terry Cooley and I said, Terry, my son, my eldest son is in LA. Can you go pick him up? And I didn't have Tommy. I didn't have to do nothing but make that call.
Yes, sir.
And Terry went and swooped him up. And Terry, man, I'm so grateful because you then developed a relationship with my son. You're not just a tough guy. I want you to talk about that experience just a little bit, but you're also so deeply loving that I now have all the confidence in the world that if anything happens to me, that Terry Cooley, he calls him Uncle T.
You better know it. That's
Father
right.
Terry Cooley will come. We laugh about you every day. Anything he's going through, anybody he's meeting, he's saying, if anything looks a little shady, then I'm gonna check in with Uncle T, and he loves you like a father. Talk about that experience, man. And I want you to give one specific example because this talks about how you teach kids. He kept leaving your doors unlocked.
Yeah.
And you gave him a nice lesson. It was interesting what you shared with him to get some compliance with that request to don't leave here and leave the doors unlocked. Go ahead.
You know what I wanted to tell you about that situation with Eric is that I told him those guys who was chasing him really ain't nothing but cowards.
Yeah.
They're cowards. They just want to catch somebody who's weak from another city and state. And that's why I told him, give me the phone number. Let's call and see what's on their mind. I said, let me call them. So I called them and told them the same script that Eric told them.
Right.
And I told Eric, now they're going to talk to me totally different than the way they talk to you. I'm going to say the same exact words that he said. I called them and told them, say, look, here, I got about 500, maybe 600 to 1,000. And I want to meet you to show me a place to live. And that dude said to me, well, I think we already rented the place. Well, no. Well, then just show me where the place was. Let's go look at how it looked. Where was it? I said, well, wait a minute. My friend called you and told you the same thing, and you told him to come meet you on Fairfax and 3rd. The dude hung the phone up.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now,
right.
I said, okay. So the thing is, one thing I want to let these kids know, it depends on how you say it.
Yep.
Whenever you're dealing with any type of business, how you say, you could say something. If you could, the person who say what, it's just how you say it could change the whole deal.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if I sound to them like some scholar. I don't know if I sounded to them like the last day on earth. I don't know what it sounds like to them.
I say both of them. Scholar.
Just hang up the phone. Just hang it up. We don't know.
Well, they hung up. They hung the phone up.
Right.
But Eric's a good dude, man. He's a very good guy. I'm glad I met him because he's talented, very talented.
Yeah.
He's very, very talented.
And
guy.
he lived with you for a long time. And
he did.
I'll never forget this, Tommy, that wherever Eric would go, Terry had already checked it out. Any relationship, anybody he was interacting with, Terry Cooley had checked that out. And I like I say, I don't know if you remember the story about you telling Eric about locking your door and him leaving the door unlocked. You remember that?
Oh yeah, I told him that. You know what? I told him, you do that, you leave that door unlocked like that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send some of my friends up in that door, and I'm gonna make sure you learn to lock it from there on, because I'm gonna send some of my friends up into that door to make sure you get that right, man.
He was locking that door every day, wasn't he?
I don't know why he would leave the door unlocked like that. In a city that is so deadly, I said, but you do that again. I said, what I'm gonna start doing is sending somebody through that door, and just to get you to understand to lock the door.
Right.
You know, have them break in. I have them break in the door.
Hey, and if Eric didn't believe it, then he needs to ask his father back in college what Terry Cooley used to do, was saying, hang around the corner, I'm gonna act like I break in, and then I'm gonna come after you. Man, it's the same script. Right.
Man, those were the days. Those were the days.
Real, man.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Man, these are some blessed stories. And Terry, you know, as in previous shows, you've always been a valued community member. You know, joining us from Los Angeles, 3 hours. You know, a different time. You know, 9:30 Eastern and 6:30 in your time frame. So it's a lot of. I want to say thank you for one, and then also you don't have to get in depth with this. You have experience, you know, working with the community members. You know, just our boys out there in the street doing what they do, right? And sometimes they're on different sides of the flag, and it's not easy. Like you said, you know, that Los Angeles can be a very deadly city. Not just a thorny city, it can be a deadly city. If you find yourself on the wrong block at the wrong time, talking about the wrong thing.
That's right.
But tomorrow will not be promised. Right.
Exactly.
You know that. Can you talk about Terry? Who are you as a person that you can bring together those different warring entities?
Right.
It's something about you, man.
Right.
That since the 60s, these boys, right now, sometimes men have been warring. Right. They call each other the enemies. Right. Mm-hmm. Talk about who you are, that you can bring together folks to have a conversation, to maybe have a truce at one time or another. And then when we go back into warring, folks are looking at Big T to come through, and we're having a conversation. Talk to us about that. Yep.
I'll tell you something. Believe it or not, all those tough guys out there running around yelling Crips, blood, all of them, they need love too. Yeah. They need somebody they need to let the guards down and sit there and be able to, man, how you doing, man? I know him. Yeah. Oh, they need all of that. They need somebody to sit there and listen to their story. But at the same time, they have to try to act real tough too. But they want a space and time where they could just sit back and relax. I met a lot of them little young brothers on the street. They come up and I met one guy he was a pimp, but he was also from the blood. Now, years ago, I used to do meth. When I first came out to California, I knew you got to be a shark to make it out here. I knew that. So therefore, I it's one thing to another. I learned the ropes out here.
Yep.
So now I met one brother out here, the pimp, and also he's a blood. And he was one of his girls. He's chasing the girl down the street, doing crazy, trying to beat her up. So I took her, put her in my car, and I told him, man, you'll see her in about 3 days. Now that blew that brother's mind. He ain't never had nobody walk up to him and take something and say, look, that blew his mind. I said, hey, brother, I'll call you from time to time and let you know. And I'll call you tomorrow and let you know how she's doing. She's going to get a little rest and you can have her, back. But look here, look, this ain't a business. I said, I have to let you know this ain't a business you in that's legal. This business will take you to jail. So you need to be smart. You ain't in this for no long. You don't think longevity doing something like this.
Yeah.
So you gotta be smart. So 3 days later, I gave the girl back.
Right.
I let her stay there, rest, live good, watch TV, eat. I let her and have her. I had a 2-bedroom apartment. I let her live like it was hers. Then took her back. From that point on, he introduced me to a whole bunch of his blood friends. But then I have a godchild who father's a Crip. So his friends used to come up and speak. So when they come up, they have one goal, one common goal. When they come up to where they coming to see me at, it's one common goal, and that's me. I always told them, don't reach in your pocket for nothing because you may be the one behind what you're reaching for.
Yep.
Nobody tripped up here where I am. Nobody tripped where I am, because you pointing at him, I'm gonna be pointing at both of y'all.
Yeah.
So let's get it right. So so they got to know each other like that. So then I throw barbecues. I used to throw barbecues so they can have fun and forget about the Crips, the Bloods, the street, the hustle. Forget about all that. Have fun. We had a swimming pool at the apartment. They used to be there, and I used to pair them up. These two dudes, you guys do the barbecuing. But I pair up who's different. You're not from the Crip, you're not from the blood, or you from the Crip, you from the blood. Let's get together. A Crip and a blood barbecue. These other people get to cooking the stuff in the house. But I pair them up with people you don't know. And we make it work like that.
Yeah, let me go here, Terry, because Tommy, great question. That just puts us in the mindset of a true father.
Yeah.
Oftentimes looks like he operates without fear.
Yeah.
And so how is it that you're able to look into the face that other people look at and they shake? You look at and you see something complete. You see the child within. You see the broken spirit. You see the young child that maybe even was molested or harmed. You see all of that. How is that you seemingly operate what looks like without fear?
Because my fear isn't to whoever is standing in front of me. My fear is to that I failed doing God's will.
No, wow.
I'm not afraid of a man standing there who should have been taught something. But my fear is that I didn't teach him and he failed. And then he looked back at me falling down in that hole saying, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? That's my fear. Not that this dude stand there and possibly want to kill me or something like that. I do not fear him. Right. No, sir.
Let me ask you to tell this story. And I know this child, I think, has moved on. But every once in a while, you have young people that come and they've been so used to running that they'll run. And you had a young man that was living with you and ran and got himself into a difficult situation. I don't know if you can share that, how you showed up and retrieved him from somebody that was then looking to do him harm.
Yeah, I had a little kid here. He was actually a transgender kid. He was my very first child. And he somehow gets upset and want to run off. They call it AWOLing. He wanted AWOL. But he took off yelling at me and went running, ran into the hands of some crazy man out in the street. The man gave him some old stuff, drugged him up, but the boy had enough sense to call my cell number. So then I asked him where he was. He told me where he was. And I said, okay. So I drove down the street. I did see them. I saw both of them standing there. And I see this crazy man standing there getting ready. I don't know what he was getting ready to do. But I told him, I'll take over from here, man. Thank you for watching my kid. Appreciate that. I got to handle from here. He looked at me and asked me who I was. I said, it's too long to tell you. It'd take too long for me to explain that to you. But what you can do is back up a few centimeters, you know, and then I take over from here. And then I told the kid, get in the car, let's go. And this man was trying to follow me to the car and everything. I told him, hey, man, for your safety and my safety, don't approach. That's the last step. That's the last warning. That's the last step. Have a great day. And I left it at that. And then we drove off.
And people are making calculations. So people are making calculations. Here's the thing I love about Terry Cooley. You are not a guy that's a one-trick pony or you operate with one speed. It's amazing how often people miscalculate Terry Cooley's superpowers.
Yeah.
But being a father is who you naturally are. You're a big man physically. You're strong. You look to some imposing. Every time I see you, all I see is this big heart of love. But when we were in school, he was literally the funniest guy on campus. And so people would just wonder why so many young people, women, and other things would always, everybody wanted to be around Terry Cooley because he operated with great love. And so, Terry, I see your speeds are. Here's the only reason why Terry's still alive. Number one, God wants you on this earth. You know, our parents, our mothers wanted us to probably be in ministry. Your mother probably had no idea the kind of ministry that you were going to be in.
Right.
And that's a life ministry. But you take to the streets, you take brilliance, a witty mind, you take humor, deep humor, and love, and really what looks like no fear. Evil doesn't scare you. Or if it does, I mean, you already make the calculation. I don't know what happened. Can you tell us just a little bit more about what happens in your mind as you're looking at, because you remind me of Robin Hood as well.
Well, the thing is, Eric, first of all, you have to weigh it all out. You have to weigh the cost. You have to weigh it all out. And I see as, man, I have to eat, first of all, and I have to live. And now at this segment of life that I'm in now, I have 5 people now that have to eat, that have to be taught something. And fatherhood is not about, this is my biological kid. Right. It's not fatherhood. Right. Fatherhood is about you showing love, you showing, you giving some good advice, you give a good ear and a good understanding.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with what the level I'm at now, lots of patience. You gotta have patience. You can't be like Job. You gotta have way more patience than Job. And Job was the most patient and of all. But you gotta go look at Job's blueprint. And then you gotta come back at him like Samson.
Yes, sir.
But you gotta have this the presence of mind and the ability to be like David.
Right.
And then you got to wind it all out. And then you got to say, oh man, now you got to do like Jesus. Forgive.
Oh my gosh.
You got to forgive because it's going to be things said to you.
Yep.
It's going to be things done to you. And you got to wrap all that up and make it a father. You got to say, this is a father. I have to be all of that. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but sometimes you got to encourage yourself and say, man, bro, I didn't think you can get through all that. But look, man, you just held your peace. It's a good thing you was patient enough because you was about to do something, man.
Right.
Change the whole everything about what you here to do.
Terry, you just walked us through what Eric had alluded to with the multifaceted dimensions of a man,
Right.
of a parent. So as you were reflecting on these kind of superhero characters from the good book,
Right.
from Job to Samson, et cetera, and landed on Jesus and God as we know him, what resonated with me as I was listening was where Jesus did say, as he was being tormented, he was being threatened, and ultimately he was being killed. He said, forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they do. Jesus had no fear of what they were doing, although they were killing him, right? Why? Because he was doing the work. What I heard you say, Terry, was you don't have certain fear because of the work, the purpose, right? So you're not actually looking at a person, you're looking at a spirit.
Wow.
Right? So the person can yell at you, threaten you, curse you, maybe even try to approach you physically. You don't fear that. Because when you have that wisdom, that gift, that talent that you are exploiting, when you have that, you can see right through all that other stuff, right? You can see through the act. You can see through the skin, right? You can see all that and see the human spirit. And to get there, you are going through the patience of Job, right? The strength of Samson, right? You're doing all that stuff and saying, what shifts do I need to make to touch this spirit? And I believe, Terry, that God continues to bless you with that fortitude, with the multifaceted approach, such that even the seasoned, educated social worker is scratching their head. Right? This is not academic. And they're scratching their head. How are you doing this? I don't think that they will ever know unless they're connected to what we are all connected to, the three of us, absolutely, in our community, with a higher spirit, a higher energy. So again, applause to the work that you have done, continue to do. And I'm taking notes, and I hope that our audience is taking notes, our community rather, to say, how can I exploit my God-given gifts, just like a Terry Cooley is doing with his? So again, thank you, my friend.
I'm gonna let you guys close out with sort of what does it mean to you to be a father? But before I do this, I want to say, Terry, when I think about all the skill set that you need, that you have, it's what our nation needs right now. Everywhere you go, you have what I'll describe as the father's touch. If you look at our Congress right now and all the foolishness that they do on Capitol Hill, you know why? Because they don't have a Terry Cooley there. If you were in the Senate, we wouldn't have all this foolishness because of the trifecta because of the trifecta of fatherly skills that you have. You have the gift of love, wisdom, humor, and strength. So that's more than a trifecta, but you have those four things. And when you carry those, just like James Dobson says, that children need discipline to know that they are safe. Right now, our Congress is off the chain because they don't have a father image like Terry Cooley, who would impose himself, because you're operating out of some universal principles, some godly principles. That's what you carry with you. And people are always miscalculating what you're coming with. And the thing that you love is they always underestimate your intellect or your humor or your love, because they get so caught up in the physical, Terry. They have no clue about all of the rest of the dimensions of who you are. So I'm gonna ask Tommy, what does it mean to you to be a father? And then I'll say that, and then Terry, you'll close us out.
All right.
I would say for me to be a father is to really take and show all of the lessons that all of the fathers have instilled in me. Not only my biological father, but so many people put their hands on me to get me right. When I was out there wilding out or whatever, it was strangers, grown men, fathers like, hey, young brother, that ain't it. You know, and I will come back, you ain't my daddy.
Right.
And they will say, no, I'm not, but that ain't it.
Right.
And that resonated.
Right.
They weren't afraid of me pushing back. And so today, I try to do the same.
You do.
And even more importantly, because I know that my son, Bryce, I know he knows I love him. Not only what I say, right, but to Terry's point, what I do. And then also I have a number of other young men and young ladies who have entrusted in me to give them wisdom and guide them in the best interest of life, not guide them toward death and harm, right, and regret. So I take great pride to say, hey, if you're asking me for some advice, I take ownership to say, here's some things to consider. And that's what fatherhood is. Mm-hmm. Fatherhood is watering the seeds that we have planted. Right? Those are my thoughts.
Tommy, I love those thoughts, man. I've never thought about till right now that maybe the title of father is the greatest title in my whole life. Not CEO, no other title for me is greater than father, and the husband is on an equal plane of that. But the title of father means something to me, because as I watched my father, he was a father to the neighborhood. Over in Skyline, Tommy and Terry, he would load up that old station wagon that we have with everybody, every boy from the hood. And we just pile in it to go play basketball at Houston Elementary. And he'd be out there talking smack and playing ball with him, and they loved him. And I watched him do that. I watched him take guys that were supposed to be tough and break them down with love. And so that's how I see myself, is that the love that I have, first and foremost, for my children. Every single one of my children, I love them in every state. Anything they do, anything they become, I am always going to be there to love them. I remember recently I was, a few months ago, my middle son was in the house, and, and I was asking him to do something. He wasn't being responsive to it. And so I got after him, well, look, if you can't do that, then maybe I can't, I come old school sometimes. And my wife was trying to tell me something then, but when we in the throes of being a father, you ain't just going to bring me down real quickly.
Yeah.
And so, but when I could hear her later, she said, honey, your son is concerned about whether you're going to support him because of what you said. And I heard it. And everything rushed over me, the protection of a father. And I said, whatever I said to him, I did not mean to make him feel as though he wasn't always going to be covered. And so I went back to my son, and with tears in my eyes, I apologized to him. And he tried to tell me, Daddy, no, you were right. I said, no, time out, son. I appreciate all that, but that ain't what this conversation is about. This conversation is about, I need you to know there's nothing that you can do, nothing on planet Earth that would ever interrupt my love and willingness to be your safety net. I'll always be there for you. And so I feel like that. I think it's such an honor. It's a high honor to be a father. And I'm so grateful to serve and to have that title is one that each of us share. Terry, why don't you close us out, man? What does it mean to you to be a father?
What it means to me to be a father is to live. And it's very important for me that I live what I tell these kids. I cannot tell you to speak using good grammar, and I'm not doing it. I cannot tell you to take your plate off the table, and I'm not doing it. So whatever I tell these kids to do, I have to do it as well. When I talk to them, I let them know I'm talking to myself too.
Yes.
And it's really important to me that I let them know that you are the future. You are your own advertisement. When you leave this door here, going into the world, going wherever you're going, dress nice, speak right. You don't know who's watching you. It could be a person that have a good job that could be ready to offer that to you. But if you're not looking right, speaking right, doing right, and they're not gonna want to hire no food. I say now, your grades and stuff, it's important to me that I let them know that their grades and stuff have to be intact. You gotta work hard at school. I don't care if you get an A. That's not important to me. But as long as you're doing your best, do your best. And so being a father is a great honor that I have, that I can leave my mark on the world, and I can affect the world, and that I can teach this one, that could teach the next one, and you can have a whole generation of proper teaching, as long as it makes sense, and leave your mark on this world and give love. Love come in all shapes and sizes.
Yes, sir.
So many definitions to love. Maybe I don't say I love you enough, but I know I show enough. I know I give it enough. I know I reach out big time and show one that you are loved. You feel comfortable. They so comfortable and feel so safe. Do they even know the door's locked at night? No, because they know Big T got it.
Yes, sir.
We love them. They know that they don't know if I lock the door. They don't know if I lock the windows. They don't know if when we get in the car, it's even going to ride properly. But they know they're under an umbrella of love, which come in all different names, Father, Uncle T, everything. But he got it.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you, I got to say this, T, before we close out, that you bring safety to the world. Dr. Reg is still with us, and he's loving this conversation. Yes. And I want to tell you that he paid me a wonderful compliment that I'm going to pay to you. He said, Eric, when I saw you come into the space that he operates in, he says, I really hadn't seen anything like that often. Somebody that comes prepared and not afraid. He said, and I admired that in you. I know that many times people say that we as a people are dealing with PTSD because of slavery and racism and all like that. And so oftentimes we can be shell-shocked. And so we need to see some images of a person that walks and lives without fear. And somebody that feels like when you're doing the right thing, what comes with that is a modicum of power and confidence. And so my children know anybody that runs close to where you are, Terry Cooley, they know that there is an enforcer of honesty and integrity in the area who is not afraid. You are the father of LA. You are the father of the difficult. You are the father of the sometimes abused and neglected. You are that father. And so I'm just so glad to call you my friend, man. And I pray that God gives you twice the years left on this earth to keep fathering communities, because everybody you encounter, you give them the same lesson, man. You're going to be a father. And no matter what their intentions were when they come to you, they leave and they go a different way, because God has gifted you with an ability to analyze very quickly what is needed. And the right, it's like a great cook that doesn't ever have to use recipes.
Yep.
Pinch of this, pinch of that, and all of a sudden you got this delicious cake. That's what you do every day, Terry Cooley, is you bake the cake of life, man. And I'm just honored to say that I love you with all my heart, man. I'm proud of you. And I'm so glad that you made this show. Tommy, how rich is this?
This is richer than Richie Rich. This is it. Yes, sir. Oh, we got the good brother Terry Cooley on the show. It's been a blessed Saturday morning. And T, Uncle T, Brother T, our friend, my friend, thank you.
Terry, you got the final word, man. What you got anything you want to say in closing? Hey, you got anything you want to say about your boys? Any of them around? Can you bring anybody into the camera?
Enrique, come here for a second. I want to tell you too, Eric. I love you too, brother. And Tommy, I love you too. Now I'm gonna introduce to the world. Come here, man. They want to meet you. I want to introduce to the world Mr. Enrique. He's a shy brother, but he's very knowledgeable about sports and plethora. He's a plethora of sports information. 6'3", 265 pounds, right there.
You said 6'3", to what?
6'3", 265 pounds.
Yes, sir. What's up, my man?
I'm good.
Enrique, what do you want to say about your father, Terry Cooley? Can you give us an inside scoop?
Well, Terrence, he's really good. Like for me and most of the kids here, he's a really good father figure. Helps us out with knowledge either out through school or daily life. Any problems, he's very approachable and knowledgeable about stuff. And most of the time, spiritual too, but most of the kids ain't really like that. So yeah. It was great. He helps me out with mostly everything, especially since I'm becoming 18 pretty soon. Yeah. It's like trying to teach me the ropes and how to get the ball rolling on life. And he's kind of helping me like lay down like a track of where I want to do with my life. And I couldn't I've been through a lot of foster homes, but he's the best one I had so far.
So definitely appreciate you sharing. If you did not know, Mr. Ellis, Eric Ellis, and myself, we're in Ohio. This is a national podcast, and now you are nationally known. Worldwide. Be careful what you ask for, brother. If you want to reach your dreams, people are watching to try to connect you to your own dreams. Keep up the good work, man. You're in great hands with brother Terry Cooley.
Right. Mm-hmm. I can see your great wisdom, man, and I appreciate you taking leadership from Uncle T. And, because you're a super young man. We can see that right now. You're brilliant. You got a lot of talent. He talks about you to me all the time, man, and all the great things that you're doing. We appreciate you, okay?
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll talk again.
All right, for sure.
That one's my college roommate, this one here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's that man right there, Eric. If anything you want to know about sports, he got it.
Okay.
He got it.
Good. We'll have y'all back on again. We'll have y'all on again. And we'll talk some sports and some other things, because Tommy, has been a professional baseball player and is a coach.
Oh, you've been a professional. Tommy, I didn't know that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Right.
Well, we can talk.
Right. Well, we've gone over time today, but it's for a worthy purpose and reason. Terry Cooley, Father Terry Cooley, thank you for all that you do. Tommy Lewis, I love you. And we want to say to the community, thank you for joining us on this beautiful Father's Day weekend, as three fathers just took the last 90 minutes or so to talk about what it means to us to be a father. So if you've never heard anybody talk enough about people of color who are grateful fathers, we get all the ink about not being there, absentee fathers. But here's three fathers that love that assignment that God gave to us. And we've enjoyed breaking bread with one another and before you this Saturday morning. Take care. Love each other.
And happy Father's Day to you too.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. We'll check in again. Bye now.
All right.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.